Today on COC, we're doing a stage 1 injector rebuild kit for our 7.3 POWERSTROKE. So come along!
So this is one of the things I like to do first before disassembly. So I take a scribe and I mark each one of these parts individually. So that way when I go to put it back together, everything goes back together the same way it came apart. So the second thing we need to do is take off all of these O-rings here. So the rebuild kit I bought came with this holding fixture. This just sits inside of a vise. You can see it's got dowels on either side of it. So what you're going to do is after you put this in your vise, you're going to line these dowels up with the holes in your injectors, and that's going to stop it from rotating while you do your rebuild. And that's just kind of a view of how it all sits in the vise once you've got it all situated. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and remove the oil spout. Then we're going to take the solenoid cap off. I'm just going to take that off and set it over here on our desk. Then we're going to remove our spacer. Then we're going to put a crescent wrench around the armature plate and remove the screw with the tool they sent in the kit. So next up, we're going to remove the adapter. So once you have that done, you can remove your poppet valve and your poppet valve spring. Then you can remove your hold down collar. So the next thing we need to do is kind of create a tool. They give you this piece and these nuts and bolts, and we're going to attach those to the hold down collar, and that's going to create a kind of a makeshift tool to remove the oil half from the diesel fuel half. So what we're going to do is basically put the collar back on the injector the same way it came off. I'm just going to keep it steady with one hand and twist the top off with the other. Once it unthreads, you just lift it straight out of the bore. Next up, we're going to take this next spring and the next valve out. Alright, so next we're going to remove these two dowel pins. Next we can remove the drum. So next up we're going to pull two more dowel pins. And these are the same as the other ones you pulled out, so you can get them mixed up if you need to. There's a little plate you pull out. Another plate you pull out. Then we have a spring. A push rod. Another drum. See, there's two dowel pins. These are short ones. One of them came out with this drum, and the other one's still stuck down inside here. Another plate. So we took the rest of our assembly over here to the table, and these are kind of a pain to get out. They've got this little copper washer that holds them in place real well, so I just usually set it on something kind of soft. Just push down on it like that, then you can dump it out, and that'll have your nozzle and another valve in it. So there's kind of a view of everything we took apart. Unfortunately, disassembly still isn't done yet. So we're going to take all these screws out of our adapter plate there. Then we need to push this middle piece through. It'll just fall out the bottom there, and you'll have a, if I can get the part there, you'll have a washer and whatever you call this thing. And the reason we take that apart is there's an O-ring in here that we have to get out and replace. That guy there. Now we're done with this part. There's also one on the bottom of this. Alright, so now we'll move on to this piece once we got our O-ring off. I usually just take the end of my pliers. We're going to pull out the piston. And this is actually what we're going to be replacing to do our stage 1. That seems to be the only difference between a stock injector and a stage 1 injector, is the size and shape of this piston. Now, no joke here. This is the absolute most time consuming and pain in the butt of this entire process. Down inside here, you'll probably just have to take my word for it, there's an O-ring deep down inside here. It is a pain in the butt to get out, and it is a pain in the butt to install. We'll see how quickly we can get it out here. That wasn't too bad on that one. That's the easiest one I've had so far. Then we need to come up to this plate we took out of the fuel side. Pop that little disc out. And then there's a little ball bearing, or a ball, not a ball bearing, a check valve we need to get out. Check ball we need to get out. And the kit comes with new ones, so you don't need to save those. And we're going to do the same thing with the barrel here. There is a split in the barrel right there. Just going to pull it apart, slide it off. And again, there's another check ball in there that we need to get rid of and replace.
So now it's time for cleanup. So we're going to use a wire wheel on these, and we're going to use a Scotch-Brite pad on these.
So now the cleanup's all done, we'll go ahead and install our internal O-rings. This little one goes in your adapter plate. Just like that. You take some oil and kind of lube it up a little bit. We'll take our washer and whatever this thing was called, put them together again. And we'll slide it into the back of the adapter. Now this is that really difficult one. This blue one has to go down into this bore and seat inside a little groove there. I know it's kind of hard to see, but you can kind of see that blue O-ring in there. So just take your time. It's a pain in the butt to get in, but just take your time, you'll get it. Then we'll move on to our aftermarket piston. This is what makes it a stage 1 injector. So once again, we'll get our oil and get everything lubricated there. Set our piston in the bore. Push it down in the bore. Just like that. Now we can put on our purple O-ring. It just goes around the edge here in this gap here. So what I think I'll do is I'll put this together twice. I'll do it once on the bench just in case I can't get good lighting to show you what's happening inside here. Basically what you do is you take your nozzle, set your needle down inside of it, take your 2 short pins and they go in the 2 bigger holes of your nozzle, just like so. And you want to take your barrel, line the holes up on your barrel with the holes up on your nozzle, just like that. You're just going to take this little puck here, drop it in, just checking to make sure we got it. We did. You're going to take the new spring that came in your kit and drop that down the hole. You're going to take the pin, put that in there. Now let's see if we can show you how to do it inside the injector itself. Alright, so we've got our injector tip back in its fixture. I'm going to go ahead and start with the needle already inside the nozzle. Just going to kind of drop that in there. We're going to take our long needle nose and install the 2 pins, the 2 short pins. I usually just kind of poke them with my finger just to make sure they're seated all the way. Then we'll drop our barrel in. You can always tell if you got it. You can take the bottom of the injector nozzle and spin it. If everything spins together, then you know you got it put together properly. Then again, we're going to take our puck, drop it down that barrel. And we're going to install our new spring and our new pin, or not the new pin, V-pin. Next, you want to grab one of your 4 longer pins, install those. Just like I said, turn it and make sure everything's still together. Kind of poke them down with your fingers. Next thing we'll do is put this next plate on. Line it up with your pins like so. Again, make sure it turns. And we're going to take a new check ball, drop it in the hole there. And we've got this other tiny little puck. We're going to put it in the other hole. Now we can come and install this other plate. So we're almost done with the fuel side. I've had a few of these parts soaking in some diesel fuel. We'll go ahead and pull them out now. See, there's a little hole right there. So we're going to take one of our new check balls. We're going to drop that in the hole. And then we got this band. As you can see, it also has a hole in it. And you're just going to put the hole in the band over the top of the check ball. Just like that. We're going to take this and set it over our long pins. There it went. You'll be able to feel it when it drops over the pins, but for some reason this one always gives me trouble. Like I said, you can always tell if it drops over the pins by turning the nozzle, and everything will spin together just like it does there. Now we're going to take some more of our longer pins and install them now. And we're going to take the spring that we had soaking in diesel fuel, set it on top. And also the pin. And that's it for the fuel side. Now we'll start working on the oil side. See, there's 2 holes here. You just want to line them up with those 2 dowel pins that we already installed. And again, if you got them on there, it'll turn. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and tighten this down by hand first. So now we're going to grab our makeshift tool one more time. Set our torque wrench to 75 foot-pounds and tighten it down. So now we can disassemble our tool. So now it's time to put our collar back on. And like those marks I showed you in the beginning of the video, we made one here. And we also made one on the injector body. We're just going to line those two marks back up and set it in place. So now we're going to install our poppet valve, which we've had soaking in oil. And then install our poppet valve spring. Then we'll come over here, grab our adapter plate. Make sure we've got our mark lined up with the other marks that we made earlier. Set that into place. And just to make sure it's centered, I usually keep it held down when I put the screws in. So now we're going to take our spacer, we're going to set it with the flat side facing into the injector. Just loosely put a few bolts in it. I'm going to set our plate in place. Install the screw. Alright, so now we'll check our tolerances. We'll start with a 2/1000 feeler gauge, and we should be able to hit the screw all the way around. And we can. So now we'll move up to a 4/1000. And that one I cannot get to feed in easily. So what we need to do is take this plate back off and put a 2/1000 shim underneath the plate to give it 4/1000. So we take our shim and we set it over that center hole. Feed our screw up through the bottom. And then we'll reinstall it. Alright, so we'll check our 4/1000 one more time. Now we've got our 4/1000 to go all the way around it with a slight drag, and that's what we're looking for. Alright, so the kit says if we used 2/1000 shims on the armature plate, then we need to install 3/1000 shims underneath the solenoid. So we're going to take our bolts and reinstall them in the solenoid. Set it upside down like that. Then we're going to put a 3/1000 shim on each one of these screws. just like that. So once again, after we lined our marks up that we made, we're going to take this spacer and we're going to set it over the top of the shims to kind of sandwich them in place. And we'll kind of carefully lift all this up and we'll reinstall it on the injector. Last but not least, we need to reinstall our oil spout. Alright, so the last thing we need to do is install our outer O-rings on the injector. First of all, it comes with this, the kit comes with this clip here. They say don't use it. And they supply you with this kind of multi-layer one instead. They say to use that one instead of the regular split one. So we'll put it on first. Okay, so now we got the metal one on. Now we're going to take this flat one, install it next. Then we're going to take the purple one that goes on next. And all three of those go in the same groove there. So the next one we need to hit is the pink one. It's kind of the harder one to put on. It's a lot stiffer. Okay. Now the last one we put on is the orange one. Then the final thing we have to do is put on this little brass washer, copper washer, whatever it is. Just kind of slip it over the nozzle there. I've been taking just a deep well socket. This one's a 3/8. Slip it over the end there, give it a push. Just like that.
So this is how we did our stage 1 injector rebuild. So if you found this video to be helpful, like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, bye!